evening, everybody, and welcome to, maybe if my microphone's working. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Screezilla, my channel. It's me, Carl Scree. I hope you're all well, and tonight we're doing a bit of an emergency broadcast for Weekend Warriors to get the broadcast out for their round here at Dover International Speedway for round 9 of the championship. I'm joined up in the booth by Mr. Aidan Schultz. How are you going, Aidan?
Good evening to you, Carl. I'm very, very well for this Saturday evening, mate. How are you?
I am alive. I'll go with that. I'm alive.
Nothing better to perk your spirits though on a Saturday night than come and watch and commentate the Monster Mile 200 here for the Australian Stock Car Championship. I tell you what, I'm excited. I hope it doesn't end how it ended for me just over a week ago. But it's going to be very interesting as they're in qualifying at the moment with Ed Foster setting the quickest time.
Yeah, that's it. Hopefully we do not see any big wrecks. I mean, you know, it's not fun when these things happen, and hopefully, yeah, not a repeat of last time out. Obviously, big accident for yourself, which was not fun. Never fun to have a big accident, and especially here at Dover because it is a very narrow track. And when a crash happens, it can be fairly nasty, of course.
It can be. The tricky coming off 2 and 4 can be very tricky, especially later in the stint. The car can get loose and then off the turn and get tight centre of turn. So interesting with long green flag running tonight to see how the different drivers to adapt to what is yet a totally different track to what they raced last week. So 3 different tracks in a row, but Edward Foster currently second in the championship at the moment. He coming off a solid week last week. He's put it on provisional pole at the moment there with a 22.87, so about a tenth quicker than Mark Smith. You can see their second car.
Yeah, nice job there, just riding on board with Norman Clark at the moment, just seeing how the run goes. I'll get you to talk us through, I think this is his first lap. I'll just get you to talk us through the Monster Mile quickly, Aidan.
Yeah, well, he's coming into 3 and 4 here, I believe. Hopefully I'm catching up to where you are. So yeah, coming out onto the main straight, you want to come up as high as you can. You can get sucked into that wall very easily. You can go quite low into here. I tend to really try to drag the brake just that tiny bit, but go very fast. Obviously, you don't want to be coming down on the apron as he is there, so it looks like he's avoiding that lap. But that can catch you out. What Norman did, he did that on purpose there when he came down and aborted the lap. But that can catch you out in race trim. You just touch that inside apron, it can send you around quickly. But Ed Foster and Smith look like they're going to finish 1 and 2 here in qualifying for what is the Monster Mile 200.
Yeah, that is it. It's look, it's easy to get caught out here, and it's easy to make a mistake here. As you said, it's one of those tracks that is it's very punishing. As we see there with Nigel Tompkins actually just clipping the wall. It's very punishing, very tricky to drive, obviously really high banking as well, and the surface of course is a concrete surface, so it makes things a little bit different as well in that respect.
100% it does. It does just throw another thing into the mix as Brad Fenley's trying to get a last-ditched effort out here. It looks like he's probably going to run out of time. As you can see, the counters slowly getting away from him in the top left-hand corner of your screen with just 6.543 seconds left. So it doesn't look like Brad Fenley will be setting a time here in qualifying. But I'm excited. 200 laps, the Monster Mile 200. A lot can happen. As we've seen in the previous weeks, as I let you go through the starting lineup for tonight here, Carl.
Yeah, that's it. Let's go with the. Let's slowly remember what I'm doing while I'm doing the actual. Bringing up all the different things. It's been a while since I've done the broadcasting aspect, so do forgive me if I'm a little bit slow on the old.
That's all right, mate. I can start running through them if you'd like. While you bring them up.
There we go.
Oh, off you go.
So on the front row, as we wait for the drivers just to hop on, should start showing them in a second. If it wants to work. It's not working, which is always fun. So let's just run through them. So it is indeed Foster on the front row. with Mark Smith on the outside. Second row is Stevie Dove, Stevie Williams, Jamie Nankervis, Norman Clark, Tristan Koch on the third row. Fourth row, Wayne Van Bullion and Toby Stent. Fifth row even, is Malone and Allen. Then we have Mackenzie, Ariel, Patton, Jordan, Johansson, McClintock, Phelps, Skurlock, Allison, Raymond, Fenley, Hicks, Tompkins and Maxi Marshall rounds out our group at the moment.
Yeah, big field of drivers out there tonight. Ed Foster would like starting off the pole position, but a really good qualifying there from Mark Smith. Jamie Nankervis, the ever-improving Jamie Nankervis up there off the second row. Some big names to watch out for in the mid-pack as well. Darren McKenzie, your defending champion. Your current series leader coming into round 9, Reuben Phelps out of the 17th position tonight as well. And you can never write off Mr. Matty Ray, Mr. Sheen as well back there doing his normal non-qualifying through the field effort. So we'll have to watch out for Matty Ray in the 81.
Yeah, we'll see if he can keep it clean tonight. Not an easy thing to do. I will just let everybody know as well, we are sponsored by Custom Paints and Diecast and Track Racer. Unfortunately, I don't have the correct overlays, so you will have to forgive the overlays being the wrong ones. It is the Anscar overlay instead of the Weekend Warriors. It is the Weekend Warriors here tonight over on my channel. Unfortunately, JP of JP Simshed not doing too well tonight. Unfortunately, got a migraine, so he is unable to do the broadcast. Hence why we have jumped on to my channel and bringing at least something out so everybody can see what's going on.
Yeah, different channel, but same paced, thick and fast action here, mate. So it was good to be able to jump in and still stream it and to be able to give somebody at home a chance to be able to watch it. So let's settle in and enjoy it as Ed Foster will bring us to the pole.
Exactly. It's, and welcome to my channel, Aidan, as well. I think this is the first
Thank you,
time
mate.
you've appeared on my old channel, so welcome.
Yes, mate.
It's a pleasure to have you on board, mate.
No worries, mate. Hopefully I don't crash mid-race, so we'll see how we go. But pleasure being here, mate. Look forward to it. But they're about to take the green flag, and we'll see whether they're nice and calm for the first 10 or 15 laps in the race here.
Yeah, it's that thing of just not pushing too hard. As away we go, and Foster gets a good lead out in front. He's got the low line at the moment. Mark Smith on the high side as the field to try and make it through, and it's just getting through this first lap without any problems. Not easy to do. It's quite easy to make a mistake here, especially on the cold tyres with this new generation of car.
Yeah, and a couple of cars getting very close to the outside wall there out of 2, but all being said and done, very clean start by all drivers there as they're just settling into their groove, get the first lap under their belts, and now they'll let everything to start warm up, and we'll see the different lines and the different strategy that these drivers are going to take around Dover. So just to keep an eye out for it. What I did see, though, I did get halfway through that race that I was referencing, Carl, and I believe you were calling that race as well, is you got a fair way into the race. You got 80 or 90 laps out of your tyres, and if you did look after them early, you found that if you went long green, you could gain a lot of positions. So interesting there as well, but depending how you drove it, because a couple of drivers had issue with their front rider too, as well, I recall. So it's early days, but all that's going to be in front of us again tonight.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, if you can get a decent amount of time out there and not push too hard, you are able to make them work. And if you can get that working, you might see a few drivers just not pushing too early in the session, and those are the guys that are trying to look after their tyres. If you do get a long green flag run here, 24 drivers out there, so that means, of course, that there is that chance to get. There's less cars out there to possibly cause an accident, which is good news for some, and that could mean we get some long green periods, of course. If that happens, then we will be looking at those guys who are trying to save their tyres, and they could be in for a good result later on. Oh, yeah. That in the background, just getting down into the wall. It is Justin Allen just having a big moment there, getting into the wall and falling backwards quite quickly. But no caution flag has come out. He's managed to save it, but there's a bit of damage on that car, unfortunately.
Yeah, good save there from him. Otherwise, that could have been a lot bigger than what it was. But we still do stay green. So you'll go back to the replay now and have a look at what happened to Justin Allen.
Just got on that apron by the looks of it, and the rear has just stepped out on him, unfortunately. But good save indeed. Meanwhile, up the front, it is Foster And Mark Smith at the moment. Mark Smith putting a lot of pressure on Foster as it stands.
Yeah, it's only early, 7 laps into 200, but Mark is definitely keeping Edward very honest here early. He looks threatening on the back of him early on. He'd probably want to lead a lap or two just to try and get that extra point, as we know they do get here for the Australian Stock Car Championship. But he's looking pretty comfortable there in second. And of course, Stephen Williams just lurking in the background in third as well. And he's got Jamie Nankervis, the one I mentioned before they took the green flag tonight. They're ever improving Jamie Nankervis up into fourth, showing a lot of pace early again here for round number 9.
Yeah, he's having a really good run at the moment. So he's going to hope for a solid result here. Thanks, Gail. Let me know my microphone's just a bit quiet. Hopefully that has fixed it up. Just double check my sound settings, as sometimes they get reset. Yes, they have indeed, and that is why it's quiet. So that should be a lot better now. So there we go. You gotta love Windows. It's a fun system when it changes your settings for no reason, and makes everything worse than it needs to be.
Mate, what did we do before technology? We would not even remember. So that's
we had much better lives. That's
more interesting ones, I'd suggest, mate. But have a look at who's coming a little bit closer to this lead group in 5th position there as well. Another driver that's had some solid results with the top 10 in NASCAR just last, I think, 2 meetings ago. So Tristan Koch in the 550, he's making his way up. He's in 5th. Mind you, he does have Darren McKenzie just going up the inside of him now. So just getting a change of liveries to what I see on my screen. That's really, really weird. But anyway, Darren McKenzie getting the job done on Tristan Koch. So now Darren on a little bit of a hot run here as we're already 12 laps into the 200. So Darren now making the move up on for the 4th position, trying to get up the inside there of Jamie Nankervis. So didn't quite get there that time. But interesting, Darren's wanting to move really quickly through this field, Carl.
Yeah, so a few drivers still running the custom liveries, and it's not. I think Trading Packs might have not updated correctly. It might just be on my one. But I know a few drivers are still running their throwback liveries as well from the other night. As you can see, you can see McKenzie making a move on Nankervis there. He's on a big charge at the moment.
Yeah, he is. He's showing a lot of pace here in this run. Starting to get to that stage. Everything's warm now. They're getting in the groove, feeling where their car's better. Obviously, it is a fixed setup, as we know here, Carl, but they can make slight adjustments to suit their driving style, whether it be your steering pinion, so that changes how much you need to turn the wheel for the car to react, looser or stiffer. You can also change your steering offset as well. So little things, and I know and your brake bias, so a lot of people do fiddle around with that type of stuff to suit their driving style as well. So you might see them taking different lines and falling back here or there, but over a stint come back, or somebody that's running really fast here 15 laps in, just in 30 laps time, we could see him slowly go backwards. So that's the interesting part to see how this is going to play out, Carl.
Yeah, absolutely. There's not much you can tweak, but the bits you can tweak make a huge difference sometimes. And it can really help out, help the car and make it a little bit easier. Adam Malone looks like he's had a little bit of a moment, unfortunately. It looks like he might be coming down into pit lane. Yeah,
unfortunate there for the number 3 Southern Stars Esports entry of Adam Malone. Unfortunate. We'll go to the replay, see what happened with him. It looks like he's probably fell victim to that outside wall. No, inside wall there, Carl.
Nasty snap there. That is not what you want. And that looks like it's got engine damage as well, and that's probably why he's had to come into pit lane. So that is a real big shame for Malone. That is not good, but McKenzie is on an absolute flyer at the moment, just getting past Mark Smith.
Yeah, up into the 2nd position now for Darren McKenzie. So Darren, the mover and shaker of this evening so far, started out of 11th, now up into the 2nd position, and he's got Ed Foster in his sights. So very good driving by Darren McKenzie early in this, 18 to 200. So this is where we see, has he gone too hard? We know he likes to lead from the front and race with Ed Foster, but we'll see as the stint does go on. But I reckon a lot of people have learnt, they've driven these cars a lot around this track in the recent weeks. So I think a lot of them will learn a few things, and we'll see it be adapted into tonight's race.
Yeah, that's it. It's constant evolution, of course, with this car as well. I mean, the Gen 7 has not been everybody's cup of tea, but people are learning to get around it now. Um, People still struggling with the old snap, and that has caught a lot of people out, yourself included, and myself as well. Is very hard when it does go snappy snap. It's very hard to recover. As we see there, Mark Smith making a move back on Mackenzie, but people are getting a little bit more used to it, and they're able to. You sort of people have learned to just drive a little bit less on that knife edge with it, and not push as hard, and sort of you don't tend to get as many snaps with that, and it's sort of people are starting to get on board with this car now, and it's starting to pay off as we start to get some good racing.
Yeah, exactly, and it depends on the driver how they drive it. I know that it took me a while because I always thought I was on the edge of crashing. So the more that you overdrive it and think you're going to, obviously you're going to have more mistakes. So a lot of these guys very smooth, used to the car now, so it's all muscle memory for them, and that's why we're seeing Edward Foster back to the front again. But Mark Smith, he's found a little bit of pace. So he just got passed by Darren McKenzie a couple of laps ago, but Mark said, nah, I want to go back to second. And now Mark's hassling the back of Ed Foster. But Steve Williams still sitting there in fourth place, and Jamie Nankervis in fifth as well. Brad Allison now up into the sixth position. So he started 19th. So Brad Allison up a few spots as well in the number 03 there, Carl.
Yeah, really nice run from Allison at the moment. There's a great battle pack going on just behind Norman and Clark at the moment. Tristan Koch just ahead of that with Van Billion, Reuben Phelps, Patton, Raymond, Ariel, Skurlock, Billy Hickey as well, just sitting in that group as well. So there's a huge battle pack going on there, and you can just sort of get that feeling that we might see something happen there as these guys are running too wide for a long way around this lap, and you can see those marbles starting to form on the high side as well here at Dover. And obviously, it's very easy just to get a little bit loose, and once it gets loose and you get sort of up on that high area, it gets looser and looser, and then all of a sudden it all goes wrong.
Yeah, and if you're the one in front, unfortunately, the people behind you are just passengers and along for the ride. So it can happen very easily, but good driving by all drivers so far. Already 25 laps in, as that is Reuben, I believe, trying to make the move up the inside there. It looked like Reuben. I'm just having a look at my leaderboard. It was Reuben Phelps. Yeah. So my screen just went a bit blurry there, so apologies. But Reuben's just got the move done on the 0. I can't see
77
that.
Of
077 of Wayne. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a bit more relaxed tonight, folks. So and we don't have all our usual gadgets and bits and bobs sitting around. So Aiden's calling it more, looking at. He's got a little bit less information in front of him, unfortunately. Yeah. So have I. So it's a little bit more cruisy. We're just trying to keep up with what we got. So we do apologise if we miss anything or just have trouble with a couple of the old numbers and stuff like that. As I say, it's a bit more cruisy tonight anyway. So nothing to worry about. Hopefully you're enjoying it though. That's the main thing.
That's it. We won't take away from the racing. It'll be exciting nonetheless. But yeah, it's live timing. It's amazing when you commentate for a while how much you rely on that thing, because you're looking, and iRacing doesn't update as quick as we like to talk. So that's why I might get confused every now and again, but I'll try not to. As Matty Raymond there on screen, he's in the 12th position. So he's already up 8 spots there, Carl.
Yeah, sorry, that was just Noddy Tompkins there. Mark Smith makes the move for the lead, sorry. I was just jumping back to Noddy because he had a bit of a moment of, it just came up on my screen just saying there was something happening. But we had a pass for the lead. Foster getting passed by Mark Smith, and a new leader in this race, Mark Smith getting that tick, leading a lap, getting that bonus point as well.
Yeah, he's shown a lot of pace, 30 laps in, and he's held that pace and now taken the lead on Ed Foster. And it looks like he's starting to just drive away a little bit now. So his last lap was 23.85 by the looks of it there, with his fastest a 21.4. So Mark Smith looking very racy. It looks like Stephen Williams got the job done though and got the position back on Darren McKenzie as well. So now there's been a move for third in the background as well. And look who's coming in the 4th position. I believe Brad Allison's now moved up to 4th. No, that is still Darren McKenzie. But Stephen Williams up to 3rd position now, pulling away from Darren.
Yeah, really good runs from them all. I might just quickly Just see if that works. The old refresh on the paints, because that might be what's causing us a little bit of trouble with that. So just apologising as these lovely white silhouettes go through the screen as everything gets updated properly. Hopefully everything will be up to date and spick and span and looking nice and shiny and things like that once it all works.
No, it's definitely my end, Carl. It's my trading paints playing up, because I know that what some of the drivers were running tonight, and that's what I'm seeing out of your screen. So that's all good. It is all fine.
Easy enough. I was hoping it would also work for my ABTO an update, because I should be showing the actual paints on those driver profiles, but no, it's not doing that at the moment either, so that's okay. That's alright. It's a bit of fiddling on my end that's needed. But we're getting up to traffic now as well, and this is where it starts to get risky, because you've got a lot of cars to pass, you've got a lot of people that you need to get through, and you can lose a lot of time in traffic as well.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to pick your moments. Obviously not overdrive the car, because you want to keep the tyres on it as long as you can. But we do know in stock car racing, it's the driver that is going a lap down is entitled to fight for his position. So, and now we're going under yellow flag. So,
as not sure who that was actually.
I'll see. It's not showing me at the moment.
I don't have anything for that one. I don't have anything up. Possibly Jamie Curvis. Oh, yep, it was Jamie Curvis there having a big moment getting up into the wall, and a big accident there. We caught the tail end of it. That bridge was kind of in the way there, unfortunately. We'll go to a closer look here, and he's just got wide, and in the Looney Tunes colour, that thing gets loose and wild, and the 8 goes into the wall. Heavy impact for Nankervis. That's a big shame, because he was running really well tonight, and he's going to have to wait and spin that one around and then get back onto it. But that is going to mean that we are going to have a slew of pit stops for quite a lot of people actually coming in. Mark Smith, one of those. So we've got a load of drivers coming into pit lane.
I'd suggest they'd be silly not to at the moment. 37 laps in, they do have 4 sets of tyres. So we're nearly coming up to quarter of the way through. So I think you'll see majority of drivers head down pit lane at the moment.
Well, Foster, Williams, Clark and Hickey stayed out. So interesting to see there. So deciding to stick it out a little bit longer. Obviously, lap 37 of 200. So still a long way to go. Still a long way to go in the race. So interesting to see there though what people are up to, and it looks like a few people taking tyres as well. So they slapped a new set of tyres on there. Will we see a big difference from that? Will we see a benefit for fresh tyres this stage of the race? Of course, if you use tyres up now, you've kind of used up a bullet in your arsenal as well. So you kind of you've left yourself a little bit open for latter cautions, I'd say.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 call at this stage. The guys at the front are playing the track position at the moment, probably banking on another caution, which most doubt will probably happen. This is a shorter track at Dover, so. But in saying that, the guys with the fresher tyres, I don't think they'll benefit from those for the first 3 or 4 laps, because a couple of drivers that didn't pit will have nice warm tyres at the restart. But once they settle in, I'd suggest them will be quite a bit quicker as the stint goes on. So that'll be interesting to watch as well. Darren McKenzie's one of those drivers that took those tyres as well, and Billy Hickey now up into 4th position. Not sure. I don't believe Billy did take tyres in that stop, so time will tell when we go back to green.
I think he actually came into pit lane, so I think he stayed out there. He was one of those drivers that stuck it out there on my screen. So Darren McKenzie was the first driver to stop. Pit stop length-wise, all very similar. Tristan Koch was 18 seconds stationary. Adam Ariel 29 seconds, so I imagine some repairs there for those drivers. But Billy Hickey onwards, not taking tyres. So you've got Billy Hickey, Norman Clark, Stevie W, Mr. Stevie Williams of DPR and Mr. Edward Foster of Atari. Those guys decided to stick it out there. And as you said, though, the older tyres, they tend to work better on the restart because they've got a bit of heat in them. They've gone through their heat cycles, of course, which does make a little bit of difference with this new generation of car.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does. Helps you out a little bit. But then it's very easy to get a little bit complacent there once you get into the mode again, and that's when the mistakes can happen with the end of the car wanting to catch up with the front of the car. So we'll see. We've got the different strategies now. We do have the drivers in behind that did pit. I'd strongly suggest they did stop and grab a set of tyres. So let's see how they go when they go back to green here for round 9, Carl, with 39 into 200. Still a long way to go.
Absolutely, and look, I mean, the big thing for them is they've got a bit more fuel on board as well, which is going to help them out. So it means they can go a bit longer. If we get a long green flag stint, then they could be in the box seat if we get a caution when people start coming into pit lane for their green flag stints. But the pace car has come in. Foster leads away for the 53 Atari. Steve Williams on the outside in the DPR car. The mean green machine is going to pull away. Foster gets a nice launch there. Teammate Norman Clark just behind him as well, gets away very nicely. Foster moving up to the high side. It's Norman Clark, Stevie Williams side by side as they go through turn 1 together. Stevie Dub looks like he's got a bit better drive out the corner. Will he make the move and chop down in front of Norman's nose, or will Norman be able to hold that position? Looks like Stevie Dub might have it. Mackenzie looking to make the move as well. Foster though absolutely getting away like a scalded cat.
Yeah, and here you're seeing he definitely is, and you're seeing Darren McKenzie on those fresh tyres in the 4th position on the outside line. He's getting the job done around the outside to go into 3rd, but he's going to have to be very careful here and position his car nicely to make the moves, as now he goes up the inside there of Stephen Williams. So we're definitely seeing the benefit of fresh tyres here by Darren McKenzie, as he's making everyone sort of look like they're standing still. But that'll all change as the strategies do play out. But Norman Clark on the inside there as well, having a train go around, and I'm catching up with all the liveries here, Carl. I'm actually doing a good job.
You are doing a fantastic job, yeah, doing very well. Nolly Tompkins, Justin Allen. Oh, as Billy Hickey's had a big moment. He's lost it. And
how did he not?
The side of Maddie Ray. And Maddie Ray, gotta say, that is raised over for Mr. Maddie Raymond. That one is, that's a big one.
4 cars gone in that one, at least. As we go to the replay, that was a big one.
Yeah, that is painful, and as I say, biggest one that got caught out there. I'd say Maddie Ray almost got through that one. Just getting unlucky. And yeah, look, that was a big one. Billy Hickey did a great job of he almost caught the slide. Oh, sorry. He almost caught the slide. We'll just use the old rewind feature a little bit just to go back and hopefully catch this one a little bit better. And we'll go a little bit into slow motion for that one. But yeah, devastating there. Matty Ray, he got really caught out. You see Billy Hickey there losing the car, and we'll see it on board from Matty Ray's position. He goes down to the inside, tries to avoid it, doesn't quite make it, gets tagged, then goes up into the wall. He almost saves it, but gets caught out from behind, and then gets a few more big taps, and that is a lot of cars caught up in that one, unfortunately. Michael Skurlock, you see there, getting caught in it as well. Skurlock's face just heading towards the barriers, and there won't be a smile underneath that handlebar moustache tonight.
No, there definitely won't be, and I think Nigel Payton could have been involved in that as well, somewhere. So he might have been the fourth one, but two separate accidents all coming from the one, so 4 drivers are going to take a lot of damage out of that. We did see Ed Foster, though, jump into pit lane, as did Mark Smith. So they've now come into pit lane, which will put Darren McKenzie at the lead of this motor race. 44 into 200 car.
Yeah, that's interesting to see. Foster obviously seeing the advantage of those fresh tyres, and those guys seeing that they were sitting ducks. It's kind of worked out all right for them because they've made a pit stop without losing too much time, but they've lost a lot of track position, and if we see another accident like we just saw, they could get caught out in that nasty. A driver that's had a big gain is Reuben Phelps there in 3rd position. He's doing a good job of just moving up the order at the moment. Van Bullion as well, sitting there in 4th position too. So good to see a few drivers just working their way through the field nicely. Mr. Mark Johansson as well, up there in top not 10 position in 9th place at the moment, celebrating the May the 4th, of course, and then, of course, revenge of the 5th. Much more revenge of the 5th, of course, with the Imperial logo on there and the beautiful Death Star on the front. Celebrating Star Wars the best way you possibly can tonight, Mr. Mark Johansson. And I think his teammate, I'm trying to think who it is now. Scott McClintock there with another wonderful livery, this time with the new generation of Kylo Ren on the back, of course, the grandson of one Mr. Anakin Skywalker, aka Darth Vader.
I must say they're good liveries, but I've never been a fan of Star Wars, to be honest with you, Carl, but they are good. Good liveries there by Mark. It's definitely making him having a good run tonight, being up in the top 10. So he wasn't too confident coming into this one. We spoke to him very briefly before he jumped in the car here tonight for qualifying. But currently a nice solid result. Hope we haven't put the mocker on him. 45 into 200 in the top 10.
The dark stride is strong in Mark, so he's using that all to his advantage. So good news for him. But yeah, it's nice to see some different liveries out there and people having some fun with them as well. It's always good to see the special liveries coming out now and again. Of course, Darren McKenzie running the Anzac livery, still great to see that on there. That's an absolutely stunning livery on that car as well. It looks beautiful, and was a great tribute on the old Anzac Day. Celebration, of course. It was. I'm trying to think which day it was now. You have to give me a second.
That was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago today.
I think I'll let you call this restart because I'm trying to think of the day that it was recently that wasn't Anzac Day.
No problems at all. So, well, Carl has a little bit of a look for that. Darren McKenzie will bring us to the green flag. Brad Allison on the outside of the front row. Darren McKenzie jumping really early there as we're green for the second time tonight here for round number 9 of the Custom Paints and Diecast Australian Stock Car Championship for what is the Monster Mile 200. But Darren McKenzie on those fresh tyres will now just drive away from the drivers in front of him. But the different strategies we do have, early leaders, Foster and Mark Smith, they'll be working their way through the field as well. So just keep one eye on them. But not sure if you got that information or not yet, Carl. But Darren McKenzie is driving off into the distance at the moment, just over a second on Reuben Phelps. We'll have a look at some other movers and shakers just as we're on board there with Reuben. It looks like Darren McKenzie has had an issue because Darren McKenzie's just been passed and he's going backwards. So Darren McKenzie must have collected the wall there as I was looking at another screen. So Darren McKenzie looks like he's out of this one.
Big one by the looks of it. Quite a bit of damage on the right front there, and that is unfortunate for Darren McKenzie. That is a real shame. He collected the ball, he's managed to get it back going again, but he's lost a lot of positions. Meanwhile, the man on the move is Edward Foster on those very fresh tyres. He's absolutely charging forwards at the moment. He's just catching up to Mark Smith as well. So those guys are absolutely flying through the field at the moment. It wasn't the day I was thinking of, but of course Victory Day is coming up on the 9th of March. 9th of May. Of course, Victory Day will be coming up, but I'm still trying to remember the bloody day, and there's too many days, unfortunately, sometimes. But yeah, it was a celebration of I think prior to the end of the First World War. It was a day celebrated in that respect.
Yeah,
so,
I know the event you're referencing. I can't remember the name of it either, but
yeah,
I know the event you're trying to reference. It'll come to us probably with 5 laps to go.
Exactly, that's it. It's the trouble. It's tricky sometimes. But Foster absolutely charging his way through the field. He was right towards the back of the field on that restart, and he's made his way up to 6th at the moment. That is a great drive there. Interesting to see the difference of the tyre strategies, of course, and the different stints and things like that. Stevie Dubb also working his way up the field nicely. He's up in 9th at the moment. So those guys that stopped on that last round are having a good run at the moment. Mark Johansson's dropped down to 11th position. Toby Stent, driver that is new to the series, I believe. It's not a name that I recall seeing before, but Toby Stent is having a fantastic run at the moment in the 189, up in 4th position. Really, really good run.
Great run. We haven't spoken about Toby at all tonight. He's been the silent achiever. He did start out at 8th position, and as you said, in 4th at the moment, and showing a lot of pace there behind Wayne in the 077. So really good driving, and usually you find you're having a really good result when you're not really spoken about much. You're just lurking there in the background, and when you need to, you come to the front. But yeah, we're only just ticked over quarter of the way through, but for the best part so far, Toby's doing a really good job there in 4th.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like Mackenzie might be out of this race. So the damage he took, I think, has been is terminal. So unfortunate for Darren Mackenzie, who was having a really good run up until then. But we have a new leader, and that is Reuben Phelps at the moment. Brad Allison just behind him with Dan Bullion, Stent, Smith, Foster, Marshall, Fenley, Williams, and Adam Ariel as well. Adam Ariel, new to new team for him, and he's having a good run up there in the top 10 at the moment. But the front is where we want to look, because there's a great battle heading up here. All 4 cars are nose to tail at the moment, separated by barely anything.
Yeah, great racing at the front here. Reuben Phelps in front. Brad Allison will ride shotgun to him a little bit here, I'd suggest. So they do work with each other. Not sure if they work with each other as teammates in this series. I'm not sure, but they definitely do work with each other. So Brad Allison will play a little bit of shotgun, but we probably will see Ed Foster and Mark Smith. You can see them just in the background there on those fresh tyres. They'll start picking them off now and making their way up to the front. I'd say in the next 5 to 10 laps, we'll see them make their way through the front. But it is Phelps, your current championship leader, coming into round number 9 by quite a substantial margin, albeit very early in the season, Carl. But we are, as I've said 1,000 times, we're now 59 into 200. He's in a good position at the moment, leading the motor race, coming into the round leading the championship. Definitely in a good spot early there for Reuben Phelps.
Yeah, really good position. I mean, being at the front is always a nice place to be. But when there's still 140 laps to go, obviously it does put a bit of pressure on you, because you've got a lot of drivers trying to chase you down. Currently, I think there's 19 drivers still in the race, from what I can see. And they're all going to be wanting to put pressure on, as Brad Allison and Stent are battling behind him. Stent trying to get up into P2.
Yeah, and Stent looks like he's going to... as he nearly washes up mid-corner there into Allison. So good driving by both drivers. He's still trying to get it done on the inside down the back stretch. Is he going to get it done into 3 and 4? He's trying really hard. This is when you can make that little mistake, but he's showing a lot of pace here. Just caught the apron there on exit, and they're still side by side here, Carl, as they go into 3 and 4. But Brad Allison, he's not letting it go that easy, as that's that riding shotgun for Reuben Phelps. He's stopped that move by Toby there, and Toby's had to fall back into 3rd position just for now, and now Toby's got Mark Smith all over the back of him.
Yeah, that's it. It's the thing, if you do lose a bit of time when you start battling like that, and he's fallen back in time a little bit. And now it's given Mark Smith the opportunity to catch right back up to him with Foster there. Van Bullien's just fallen off a little bit with Maxie Marshall. Then we have a big gap back from Stevie Dubb all the way back to Norman Clark, who's got the secondary pack formed in P11. And those guys are having a good race as well. So there's a good racing going on throughout the field. We're going to keep our eyes at the front for the moment with the Stent and Smith battle, I think, and Foster as well. So these 3 are going to be battling it out pretty hard. And it's going to be interesting to see how they go. Obviously, it's if we get a nice long green period here, again, it's going to favour those guys that stopped latter, as they will have a bit more fuel on board. But it looks like Mark Johansson might have just had a moment as he's just come into pit lane. Let's see what happened to Mark there.
Yeah, we'll have a look at this replay. So He's already down on the apron there, so I think he might have fallen victim to the outside of turn number 2 again, as we've seen other drivers do it. Or,
No,
yeah, not sure what's happened to Mark there.
no, interesting on that one. Possibly just he's got to, what are we? They've got to the 25% distance, so maybe he had a little bit of contact with the wall and is just not feeling it at the moment. But he was having a good run up there. He was inside. He was up in a fairly good position as well. So must have had something happen to him there, Mark. And obviously, you can have technical issues as well, and that's one of the things we say in sim racing is you don't have cars failing on you. You don't have mechanical issues on the cars like bits falling off or suspension brackets breaking. But you can have technical issues such as your wheel or your rig having an issue, or the sim gear you're running, or computer stuttering or something like that. And those all are basically kind of like real life technical issues for cars. They're as close as you get to that. So you can have mechanical issues. Toby Stent is falling backwards at the moment. He's now fallen into the grasp of Mark Smith. Foster has made it out in front of him.
Yeah, so Foster's got the job done. So, yeah, Stent wasn't able to get the pass made on Brad Allison, so now he's fallen victim to Ed Foster. So Foster also, I believe you caught that just a couple of laps ago, did make the move on Mark Smith as well. So only 2 more places in front of Edward Foster as we see Stent there go through 3 and 4. But Ed seems like he's the one that's played this tyre strategy or this tyre stint just that little bit better to all the drivers on the same tyre strategy around him. Reuben Phelps still fast in front though, 7/10 the good of Brad Allison, but and I believe that's Noddy Tompkins there because it will have Matt Raymond out of the race as we go to a replay.
Big moment down the front there. He managed to save it, but that is not what you want to have, just pinballing it off the wall. But he's kept the car running at least, so that is some good news for him.
Yeah, he has. Still on the lead lap, although timing is a little bit slower to catch up to me on this, but he still keep going, so it's all about getting some points. But anyway, back to the front, Reuben Phelps, he's actually extending that lead over Brad Allison now as well. So looks like Ed Foster's now had enough, and he's going to make the move on Edward Foster there for second in the race, up in turn number 1 and 2. So now Ed Foster clear, as I can hear Brad Allison just let him go there and goes, there you go for now, mate. Hopefully I'll see you a little bit later in the race. So Ed Foster up into second, and will he chase down Reuben Phelps? So Reuben's been pretty quick out the front. He's slowly made his way through after starting in 17th position. Will Ed Foster be able to chase down Reuben, or have the tyres evened out?
Yeah, you start to get that plateau effect happening eventually, but it looks like those fresher tyres are still playing ball with Foster. He's setting some good lap times at the moment, but Phelps has got a good lead in front of him. A smart move by Allison as well. I mean, it's one of those things, sometimes it's better just to let a car pass and not fight for position, because you sort of lose more time fighting than you sort of fall back into the grasp of people like Mark Smith and Toby Stent. We saw how much time Stent lost by battling it out, and sometimes just letting a car pass and then following in its wake is a good idea. It's not always what you want to do as a racing driver, but in early stages of a race it can be a smart option rather than constantly battling and losing yourself and the person beside you time. But then racing drivers, they run differently than normal people. That's the thing, isn't it, Aidan? Like, as racing drivers, we all have that thing of we don't want to be beaten. So when we do get somebody trying to pass us, we go into that mode of wanting to battle it out.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Motorsport, I've been around it as has everyone through this online space that we race in. A lot of drivers do it in the real world as well and have done for a long time. But motorsport is just as much mental as it is the actual driving. So as much as it is in the real life, there is the mental side of it as well. They're long races. You've got to concentrate for a long period of time. Obviously, you've got everything that goes on within racing. You want to win. Do you understand where you are in the race? Are you able to rein yourself back in and not race? Because it is a race. So it is very hard. And I'll tell you what, that's probably one area that I do fall down with is probably race a bit too hard, which is probably why I don't finish a lot of them. So, a very, very good point, though, you do make there, Carl. It's sometimes better to err on the side of caution and just maybe sacrifice a spot or two to possibly play the end game. But it's easier said than done when you're in behind the wheel, as you more accustomed to knowing, mate.
Exactly. There's the thing. There's the whole. There's a lot of mental aspect to it as well. It's a strange thing with motorsport is you have that whole mental aspect as well as the physical aspect when you're racing. I mean, on the sim, of course, the physical aspect is not as demanding as in full metal race cars, but it can still really. Oh, as Noddy Tompkin just gets out of the way for Foster, but Foster sort of had to second guess where Noddy was going. But it is that thing of, it's more of a mental aspect in sim racing, is you have to use that mental type of, you're mentally fatiguing as well, like when you're driving you get that mental fatigue, and you have to keep yourself going in that respect, and sometimes if you have that little bit of pace deficit and you are getting past slot, you can get down and then you can overdrive yourself. And then same goes for leading as well. Sometimes if you've got a clear lead, as you just get complacent and you just make a silly mistake, it's very easy for all these things to creep in, and very easy to lose a race because you've just mentally talked yourself out of it, or you're just pushing yourself a bit too hard because you sort of you just go into that mode of attack, and sometimes it's better just to ease off a little bit and lose one spot like Brad Allison did than fight it away and end up losing 3 or 4 spots.
Yeah, exactly right, mate. And you err on the side of caution, as I did say, and you're seeing Brad do that. So, long way to go. But Eddie's bridging the gap, and this is 1 and 2 in the championship as they stand now. So now 1 and 2 in the race. But yeah, very, very hard to drive these cars over a long period of time. These guys will be behind the wheel for about an hour and a half in the race tonight, I would say, and they've already been behind the wheel for about 40 minutes in a practice session and did qualifying, so it's a long night at the office. They'll be very drained when they get out of the cars tonight.
A lot of them as well will have been behind the wheel in the 87 race prior as well, so they've been driving, they'll have been driving for a good 2 to 3 hours tonight, and it does get a little bit tiresome, and you can get to that point where you just get that fatigue setting in, and all of a sudden you get caught out by it. The 87 race was at Talladega tonight.
Yeah, it was. We had a great bit of fun.
I believe you
at Talladega.
Top 3 finish tonight, was it?
I did, mate. Nice. I don't know how, but I did. Yeah, I finished third at Talladega tonight.
Indeed. And
it was a bit of fun.
Foster was second, and Matty Ray got the win.
Yeah, a good little battle up the front. I got to watch it unfold in front of me. I unfortunately absolutely nuffed turn 3 and 4, so I couldn't get a run. But they had a good little battle there. I led a couple of laps, and it was good. I think we only had 1 caution for the night. So, and we're seeing the same again tonight when the guys have come across into the Cup car here at Dover. Only the 1 caution, I believe, tonight, Carl, 86 into 200. So, excuse me, as I just cough. The guys driving really well tonight.
Coughing. I mean, that's not good enough. That is it.
Didn't have time to move my microphone.
No, that's it. I expect better, especially on my channel. I'm so full of the rules here. It's it's important. Just bloody disgrace. That's it.
Well, hopefully you don't lose followers, mate, with me being here. Hopefully we gain a couple.
So my subscription count's all dropped to almost 600. So you've done well so far.
No worries. But the race is heating up, though. Back at the race, nearly 12 laps away from ticking over the halfway mark. Not Ed Foster's slowly catching Reuben Phelps. He definitely does have the pace on him a little bit at the moment. I think Edward's just managing his tyres, knowing that he can get the job done pretty shortly here on Reuben. But Reuben's still doing a good job to hold him off at the moment. They've actually gapped Brad Allison quite a substantial margin now. Carl, they've put about, I believe, nearly 2 seconds on Brad Allison in third.
Yeah, Allison falling back to about just 2 seconds now. So he's on that 2 seconds. Mark Smith 3 seconds behind. So a nice gap for Brad and Brad Allison and Mark Smith as well. They've got a nice bit of gap between them. Foster is really starting to put the pressure on Rubes as well, and he's in a good position as well. So it's that sort of thing of having a good spot. If a caution flag does fall, Foster's not going to lose much time at all. He can come into pit lane as well, get his service done and not have to worry about it too much. He's in a really nice spot as well, and he can also start putting pressure on Reuben as well and try and force him into making a mistake. 2 cautions here tonight so far. Of course, we had quick succession of cautions, of course. But only the 2 here so far at Dover, which is great stuff. Really good driving from everybody, because it is a hard place to run, and it is very easy to make a mistake, of course. It's a thing of, people always say, especially when you get the old road races and things like that watching, as they go, you're only turning left, it's not that hard. But it is a very tricky skill indeed. It's getting the foot on the accelerator at the right time, it's turning the wheel enough, brakes at the right point, everything like that. And you see there with Foster, he just had to squeeze the brake a little bit as he caught up behind Reuben, and that just cost him a tiny bit of time there. But it's a very different style of racing. It catches so many people out when they do it for the first time. They might be really, really quick, but then as soon as it's gone past about 10 or 20 laps, they fall back quite quickly, because there's a lot of management involved in the old stock car racing as well.
Yeah, there is, and that's on top of the mental side that that adds to the mental side, but we talk about the mental side. It's all mental at the moment for Edward Foster, because he's in second. He's in a really good position. He did mention last week, I believe, on the broadcast, he doesn't even think of the championship at the moment, only 9 rounds in, but he knows he needs to get points on the current championship leader, Reuben Phelps, in first. So there's the mental side again. As much as it's only round 9, Edward Foster would be seeing the championship leader in front of him. So will he want to fight that? Because he needs to get the places back to be able to gain positions on him. So there's another mental side there of it. As much as it's only round number 9, it would have to be playing on the back of their mind. If the people say they don't think about championships most weeks, then I think they could be telling us a few fooies as we go to replay.
A few porcupines, as Noddy Tompkins loses it again, just losing it on the exit, and this is what I'm talking about, but it's really hard keeping these cars under control when he's coming into pit lane. I wonder if that's possibly a drive-through as well for him. Is he might have just got to the instant limits, but up front it is all battle as they get into those lapped cars. Of course it is that thing of some people just they don't have the championship in their mind, and they can just block it out. I'm not one of them. I don't know how they do it. Some people just have this ability just to actually not worry about stuff. I am constantly thinking about stuff like that. A few years back when I was trying to get a top 10 in the truck championship, it was constantly playing in my mind of being inside that top 10 and getting those good finishes and getting good point scores and all this kind of stuff. And it's this constant thing, but you get drivers who can just relax that little bit. And I think when you've had a couple of championships under the belt, you've got that bit of experience, you can really start to help it push forwards. Stevie Dubb gets a bit of a move, and he's getting a move on as well through the field. He's just got past Van Bullion and Mark Smith as well, so good for Stevie Dubb. But just wanted to keep an eye on this front battle, because Foster is all over the back of Phelps like a rash at the moment.
Yeah, he is. He's got it back to 0.2 of a second. We did see it a couple of laps ago come down to under 1/10 of a second. Now it washed back out to 0.3, now back to 2. So a bit of a yo-yo here at the front, Carl. It looked like Edward was probably going to want to make a move there, but whether his tyres have plateaued there or whether he is just sitting in behind, he would be saving a lot of fuel there. It might not look like a little bit, but just rolling off that throttle a little bit on any occasion and still keep up with the car in front of you and run the lap pace is definitely going to help you with fuel as well. So he could just be waiting, but then once again we've got lap cars that are going to play a part in this as well. That you see just a couple of cars ahead of Reuben Phelps in front of Ed Foster. So lap cars do come into the equation again now, Carl. So we'll see whether there is a change through this period of the race with Reuben and Edward, but it's still about that 2.5 mark. So Reuben's still been able to hold on to the tyres so far.
He is. Cody Jordan's coming into pit lane, and it looks like McClintock may have made a bit of a mistake. So I'm just wondering if Cody Jordan's coming into pit lane for a scheduled stop. He's decided to pull the pin early and just try something a little bit different, because it is that time where you can start to think about making a stop. Fuel mileage around here, I forgot to actually look at what it was, but I think it's about 70 to 80 laps, isn't it, off the top of my head?
Yeah, I believe it's just over the 80 mark. That's my rough memory. So they last came through late 30s, so they're probably going to be through pit lane in the next 10 to 20 laps, I'd suggest, if my maths is correct. That's why we're seeing drivers already come through pit lane. But that's not going to get them to the end of the race, though, as we go to a replay. I believe that's Kobe there that you mentioned.
Scotty McClintock there just coming into pit lane.
Okay.
It said he had a crash, but not seeing that in the actual video. You gotta love it when it tells you, the timing screens that we use. It says, gives me incident reports, and sometimes it likes to lie. And yeah, that was one of those. It said there was a crash happening, and it's like, no, there definitely wasn't a crash happening there. But yeah, Cody Jordan and Scott McClintock both coming into pit lane now. They've both decided to pull the pin and stop, so interesting to see. Obviously, if it is about that 80 lap mark, then they will struggle to get home from there. As Cody Jordan does, in fact, have a bit of a moment, I think, possibly here, or is it just him? I think he's just had a bit of an error, possibly. Or it's just him rejoining the track and it's just come up with an issue, but I think he might have possibly had a little bit of a sketchy moment. No, looks like everything is fine there for Kobe. Again, sorry about that, folks, just making a liar of me, my timing system, saying there's a crash happening when in fact it's just them rejoining the track.
Good old World Wide Web and the modern technology we use. But Ed Foster still not able to get the job done on Reuben Phelps at the moment. So 1-2 in your championship. They're 2.5 seconds clear now of Brad Allison in third place. So Reuben Phelps doing a good job navigating through lap traffic at the moment as they come up on Norman Clark. So that'll be another one to go a lap down. And Norman Clark, he's actually in 10th position at the moment. So they're lapping up to 10th, but like we have said, there's been a couple of green flag pit stops being run, so strategy is going to play out, and the laps will come back to the drivers that have already pit.
Yeah, they've got some really good pace at the front, lapping up to 10th. I mean, interesting to see Norman go down. He pitted at the same time as Foster, so those guys on the same strategy almost, but you can see the pace difference there of the drivers, and Foster is just really getting some great pace out of the car. He takes a slightly higher line there, and he's looking to make it up through the high line as they go 3 wide past Mark Hansen there, and Foster can't quite make it work. Rubes goes up, covers him off, cuts the nose off of the 53. The 06 doing a good job of defending there, but Foster looks to have the pace on Reuben at the moment, but he is really struggling with Phelps as Foster goes down the inside now. And this is going to be much harder to defend from as Foster gets a good run there. He's got a nice exit speed, and Foster takes the lead of this race, cuts it up in front of Reuben just to say, look, this is my spot now, buddy. And he gets the move done on lap 111 of 200. Foster leads the race, Reuben Phelps falls back to second.
And what a great move there by Foster. You could see him, that move took him a lap to complete. You saw him move the 53 up to that mid to higher line, trying to get the run off the corner to come down on the inside of Reuben. So the 53, it took him a lap to get it done in 2 attempts, but he now takes the lead of the race, as you said, Carl. So great move there by Ed Foster. And that's exactly why these guys are 1 and 2 in the championship so far, driving the way they are tonight.
Yeah, that's it. They've been having a really good season so far, and Reuben's been really impressive as well. He's come leaps and bounds from when he started. He's been improving race after race as well, and it's been good to watch him progress on the old oval side of things. And Foster, as we know, old hat on ovals. But it's great to see drivers coming into a series, and I think it's been 2 to 3 years now. Reuben's been racing on the old ovals in Warriors and Anscar, and he's just been improving, and it's great to see that. Great to see that happening, and it's nice to see when new people come in and just really start to get their mark in the series. Of course, you've got drivers like Brad Allison here, been in here for a long period, and he's been having a solid season so far as well. Toby Stent, of course, one of the newcomers, but again, really strong performance from him too, and it's what we love to see. We love to see drivers coming in and improving and just having that, just doing that, improving. It's great to see people actually getting up in pace and just getting better and better as the races go
on. 100% it is. Motorsport's inclusive and about participation, as though we all want to win. So, and all these guys are really good. They help each other out where they can. Through areas, you did mention Reuben. He has come ahead leaps and bounds. He's driving really quick this season. And Brad Allison, he's had a little bit of a time off lately, and only really jumped back into it in the last couple of months. So he's just getting back into the swing of things. But really great to see a lot of new names jumping up across all the different leagues. Of course, we're here for the Australian Stock Car Championship, but and doing really well, with Toby Stent in 4th position, obviously being the most notable one here tonight.
Yeah, that's it. And there's so many good leagues at the moment. We've got Global iRacing, of course, with yourself, Hayden, ANSCAR, and with Weekend Warriors as well. We've got the Australasian Supercar E-Series coming up tomorrow night as well, and it's a multitude of different aspects as well. Of course, yourself, we know that you run a bit of the old IndyCar as well, which is great, and it's nice to see the oval side of things getting a lot of attention and getting a good audience in and getting a good set of drivers in as well.
Yeah, 100% it is. There's so much for people to choose. Obviously, all the drivers support these leagues that they run in, so there are a lot of different options out there, but it is good to get seeing leagues supporting the ovals and being so strong at it. Being Australian New Zealand based, obviously, with NASCAR being predominantly American, so very strong following. Although in iRacing, we have Americans and Australians jumping in the same leagues and servers, but it is really good. Of course, there's also SkyPoint now putting on an oval league as well for another option on another night that's run outside of those other leagues. So, lots of different opportunities. A lot of these drivers jumping back to back across those leagues as well, and others, and doing a lot of laps around each other, which is why we see such good racing across all these leagues, especially on the ovals.
Yeah, that's it. It's people knowing each other and getting used to each other. I think Brad Allison is coming into pit lane here. Looks like he's the first of the top group to make a pit stop. So interesting to see there from Mr. Allison deciding to come into pit lane and make his pit stop first. So he's going to get a bit of the old undercut happening. As long as we don't get a caution, this could work out well for Brad Allison here. He'll gain a little bit of time because he'll have fresh tyres. But that's it. It's supporting each other, and of course, the other big thing as well is the more you race with people, the better the racing becomes, because you know what they race like, and you get a little bit less it's a little bit of knowing how people drive, and you get to know generally what lines they take and what positions they take and things like that. Mark Smith coming into pit lane, and it does improve racing an enormous amount, and it's great to see a lot of these different leagues and a lot of these different drivers coming over and actually racing with each other and getting used to each other on track as well. Yeah,
100%. We see a lot of these drivers actually being multi-skilled, like the really good ones across both types of racing, of course. We mentioned the last week's winner and the back-to-back winner, who's not here tonight, Andrew Dyson. Amazing driver of both road and oval, so they're able to just flick a switch and go between the two. Ed Foster, your current race leader, tell you what, he's no mug on a road race as well. He's very quick, so a lot of good drivers across all the leagues across racing. He can drive an IndyCar as well, yes.
That's it. I mean, with the Weekend Warriors, we had the IndyCar series, of course, and it was Foster and Traher battling often in that one. We had a race at Phoenix, I think it was, where I managed to weasel my way up onto the podium somehow behind Foster and Traher. But it's the guys, they have a lot of talent, and they're very, very good on a multitude of different tracks, and it is that ability to drive different things, and it is great to see. And that's one of the nice things about iRacing, is you have that opportunity to do it. So the leaders so far, Reuben Phelps has done 91 laps. So fuel wise, obviously there was a caution in there, but he's on lap 91. So that means that they can make it at least 91 laps, at least 80, probably about 85 laps on fuel on a full green stint, I'd say. So it'd be interesting to see when Phelps comes into pit lane, because that's going to give us an idea of how long they can go on fuel. Foster's done 84 laps so far, so he's going to be able to go about an extra 7 laps, I'd say, over Phelps, as it looks like Phelps might be coming into pit lane now. Indeed he does. So as the caution flag comes out, Phelps has to abandon that one. That was lucky indeed.
Oh, I just caught a glimpse of that, and I thought a car was going into the water barriers at the end of the pit lane there, or the start of pit lane. But Reuben Phelps, a late decision there to not go into pit lane because the caution come out, and that could be one of the quickest decisions of Reuben's life tonight to get out of that one.
Yeah, so here we see it. Reuben Phelps was coming into pit lane, and you can just see him heading towards those water barriers, and he just jogs out of that one. Not sure what the caution was for. I'm seeing if I can figure that out. I've not got anything on the screen. Possibly Mark Smith. Yes, it was Mark Smith. Go. Big punt there into, was that Kobe Jordan there? So Mark Smith and Kobe Jordan there making contact, and that is the reason for that caution. Unfortunate for Mark Smith there, but that played out beautifully for the leaders who are coming down pit lane at the moment. And the person that played out best for is actually going to be Foster, because he, of course, he stayed out there. Reuben, although he did abort that pit lane entry, he lost a bit of time, so he dropped time, of course. So he sort of cost himself a lot more time than he needed to, because he slowed down out on track. So this is going to work out very well for Foster. It takes a lot of pressure off him. Phelps, of course, will be going well. The biggest loser, of course, is going to be Brad Allison.
Yeah, Brad Allison will be a big loser in these pit stops as well, and when that caution fell, also obviously the big loser, Mark Smith, in that incident that you mentioned. And Mark Smith, he was having a great race tonight, actually leading quite a few laps early on.
Yeah, really unfortunate for him. We've seen him have some good runs recently, but that one definitely, was not one of those good runs, so that's going to be painful for him. I think, looking at it, Toby Stent might be the lucky dog here tonight, although he has taken a pit stop. We'll just see if that one plays out. Brad Allison might be able to get a wave around at least, so that will at least take a bit of the pain away. So he might be able to at least get back on the lead lap, because it really hurts when you stop like that and get caught out in a caution like that. But that was exactly what we were talking about. Foster pitting a bit later, having that little bit of extra fuel on board, it just gives you that little bit of a gap in case a late caution comes. Gives you that little bit of safety net in. And Phelps almost got caught out by that. If Reuben had pitted then, and that could have been disastrous for him.
Yeah, it would have been. He would have gone a lap down. So lucky for Reuben. Interesting that who has gone a lap down, though. I think a couple of drivers may have got caught out there. Brad Allison, as you mentioned, was one of them. So,
well, we've got 5 cars on the lead lap on my screen. So, and that's Norman Clark, Brad Fenley, Stephen Williams, Reuben Phelps, and Edward Foster. I think Norman Clark might have been the lucky dog last time round, so he actually got very lucky in that one. But that means we've only got 5 cars on the lead lap, and that is not a lot of cars on the lead lap at the moment.
No, 131 into 200. I tell you, the big beneficiary in this all has been Brad Fenley. So Brad Fenley in the 59 started out at 21st position, and currently now well inside that top 5 in the 4th position in that VB livery there. So Brad Fenley, a big beneficiary out of that caution period there.
Yeah, speaking of newer drivers to the series, Brad Fenley is one of them. He has only come in this season, of course, but has been doing a fantastic job. He's had some good points finishes, some good top 10 finishes. I don't think he's yet had a podium across any platform that I can recall. But he's been strong and he's been up there or thereabouts. So really good run from Fenley at the moment.
I have called a race where he has got a podium, Carl. I can say I have, and that was in the Australasian Supercar E-Series. So I believe it was, from memory. So Brad Fenley, he's had a podium before, but he's in a good shot to be able to get one tonight. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's okay. That's most welcome in that respect. It's one of those things. It's hard to remember who has and who hasn't across all the different series.
100%.
But Foster up there currently in first, and he is looking to lead them away. When will he drop the loud pedal? He does it very early on. Does it on the corner as well. Very nice restart there from Foster. Gets away very early indeed, and he is in the lead of this race still. Stevie Dubb moving up into third position. That is good news for him as well.
Yeah, Steve Williams, good restart there. He's got the jump over Brad Fenley as we're 3 wide in the mid-pack. Cars fighting laps down, fighting to be that lucky dog, which is the first car a lap down, just in case there is another caution as cars get really loose there. That was Stent making the move around the outside there of Marshall, I believe. So, tell you what, they're looking racing. They might be a couple of laps down, but still a lot to play for those drivers.
Yeah, and this is where you're really at risk of the old cautions breeding cautions. We say it time and time again, but you know, when you start racing really heavy like this, you know, this early on after a stop as well, brakes are cool, tyres are cold, pressures are not up. Very easy to make a mistake, and of course, when you got the rubber on the outside, you've got those marbles forming up outside. It starts to get even worse, and that can really start to cause problems. But out front it is Foster leading Phelps, leading Williams, Fenley, Clark. They're in 5th position. First car that is on the lead, last car on the lead lap, and then it's Tristan Koch at the moment in that lucky dog position. He's got Adam Ariel just behind him trying to catch him down. You can see Ariel and Stent actually battling it out. Now it's Stent who is the first car behind Koch as well. So Stent is trying his best to catch up to Koch and see if he can make the move. Reuben Phelps on the meanwhile is on a bit of a charge. We know these cars can now make it to the end without having to worry about a pit stop, without having to worry about anything. Looks like Mark Johansson might have just had a little bit of a moment. We'll just go back and see what happened there.
Yeah, Mark Johansson making his way back onto the track after being in pit lane earlier. He's down 13 laps, so he's still been circulating.
I think he's just circulating on the apron at the moment, just to keep out of the way of the faster guys at the moment, just to get a good point score. But up the front, we've got a battle for first position. It is Foster versus Phelps once again. The Goodyear car versus the Natari car. AJD Natari versus Goodyear. I can't remember the name of the team there. My blank has gone. My
Goodyear Auto Care Runner, I believe it is.
Beautiful.
Is it not?
I think so, yeah. It's the one I can't say, so I will go with that one. Beautiful job. Of course, a big shout out to Custom Paints and Diecast, of course, and Track Racer. Big thanks to them, of course, for sponsoring the league. Don't look at the overlays that we're currently using. Of course, we are using the ANSCAR overlays because I don't have anything up for Weekend Warriors stuff, because I don't usually broadcast Weekend Warriors. So it is my ANSCAR stuff made by the ever magnificent Mr. Matty Hunter, of course. A big shout out to Matt Hunter for getting these overlays set up for ANSCAR. So if he's done a fantastic job as ever. Big thanks to him for that one. But good battle up the front.
And that's just another example there of leagues supporting leagues and people supporting people through the iRacing community. How good is it to be able to utilise other stuff to bring leagues to you when unfortunately life happens, and we weren't able to do the usual broadcast tonight, but still good nonetheless. But I tell you what, Reuben Phelps looking really racy. He's wanting to get the job done on Edward Foster. I don't think he's liking sitting in second. He wants to get the job done and really put a stamp on the championship here if he can get the job done on Ed Foster and come away with the chocolates tonight.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's the thing of also, you know, when you are in that battle for championship positions, if you can get that, position gained, it's sort of asserting dominance almost, you know. And Phelps will very much like to get past Foster, who, as we say, is extremely good on the ovals as well. So if you can pass Foster on a track like Dover, then you know you've done a good job, and it really helps build up the old confidence as well as you go on in a season.
Yeah, it definitely does. But I tell you what, the number 53 Natari Autosports entry, Ed Foster, will make that forward as wide as humanly possible. And if Reuben Phelps rather wants to get his Camry to the lead, he's going to have to try really hard, because Edward Foster's not usually one that just rolls over without a fight. So we'll see whether he does now and goes, okay, Reuben, I caught your last run because of the tyres. We'll see whether he thinks the same now, but it's definitely racy at the front here. They do have 0.7 of a second, so if anything does happen between the leaders, as we see a car just down on the apron there, if we do see something there happen with the leaders, we will see Stephen Williams come back into contention as well. So just keep one eye on Stephen Williams in third place from DPR, and just watch the gap there as these guys fight it out at the front, Carl.
Yeah, look, wily veteran Stevie Dub, of course. He is a multiple race winner and champion as well in many leagues. He's got a lot of wins and things under his belt, and he might not be the quickest out there sometimes, but he is always up in the top 10, and he's just sits there. He's very consistent. That is the big thing with Stevie Dub. His consistency is his key, and one of his strongest points is he is able to consistently finish, top 10, top 5, pretty much every race. He's very good at doing that.
Yeah, he is. That's how you put together championships, and it's not always some nights out you're going to not feel comfortable and not be the quickest on the racetrack. So that does go to your point earlier on in the broadcast about picking your times in the race and when to make passes, etc. That just all goes hand in hand to how to get those solid results. So Stephen Williams, definitely an old hand at that, and he's shown that again tonight in third position. The gap is slowly edging out there between your two leaders at the moment, but Ed Foster not getting away from Reuben Phelps. So Reuben just really right in behind Ed Foster. I'm sure Reuben wants to make a move done, as they're going to take lap 150 now across the line. So we've now gone 3/4 race distance, and it's a battle for the lead, Carl.
Yeah, that's it. 150 laps and they're still nose to tail at the front. This is what we love about oval racing. It is as Foster goes down. Big block there by Foster. That was a very big move there from Foster, just cutting it down to defend that inside line, of course. Just a single move there in that defensive area, and that is a really aggressive defence, but Phelps not able to make it work. You can see Phelps has got the speed on Foster now, and this could be his chance to attack as he gets the nose down. He's trying to get that nose on the inside of Foster. What he needs to do is do a bit of a fake lunge on Foster to take him off guard. Throw Foster offline a little bit, then take the high line, try and get better exit speed off, and then get underneath him for that pass.
Yeah, it's interesting there. Ed Foster, 50 laps to go, really showing his intentions early. And if I'm Reuben Phelps, I'm liking what I'm seeing in front of me at the moment, driving that aggressive. If I was Reuben, I'd be putting myself in all different positions in his mirrors at the moment, because Ed Foster's obviously got one eye in the mirror, and mirror driving to an extent, as we saw him cover off on that. So yeah, I'd be liking what I'm seeing here if I'm Reuben Phelps, but I also wouldn't want to stay in behind that dirty air for too long and hopefully burn out my fronts. So what will Reuben do here after he's seen the intentions here at Ed Foster with 47 to go?
Yeah, he's got to really start thinking about that move and where is the best place to make it. He just needs to get his nose underneath Foster now, and he's just going to try and force him into a bit of a mistake as well. It's what you've got to try and do, and it's not easy to force Foster into a mistake, but it can be done as he gets his nose just there a little bit, doesn't have the speed down, he knows Foster's going to cut down on him. He just needs to make that probe and attack and try and get underneath Ed's right now, and it's not an easy thing to do. Battling Ed on the best of days is not easy. I know I've been doing it for almost 16 years, so it's not an easy thing to do to beat Foster out on a racetrack. The amount of times I've seen the rear end of his car, I do not wish to mention.
Yeah, I don't know the feeling of 16 years, but I know it for most motor races that I participate in. So I know the feeling, Carl. You're not alone. But you could see there with Reuben Phelps, he just got a little bit light in the front coming off turn 4 just a lap or two ago, which just allowed Ed to drive off a little bit or open that gap just ever so slightly. But Reuben's slowly catching the gap up again. What Reuben should do this time around, and I'm just a mere commentator, Carl, but he should do, I would suggest, what Ed Foster did on him in the first long stint. If he can get up onto the back of him again, just through 1 and 2, possibly run that car a little bit higher. You can see at the moment he's running it lower, but set up Edward Foster over a period of 1 or 2 laps to be able to get that run down the inside, as you mentioned there. So if he can get up to the back of Ed here, we'll see whether Reuben's learned a lesson there in that little exchange they had just a couple of laps earlier.
I'll tell you who's gaining out. This is Stevie Dubb. He is loving this fight. You can just see here the DPR car, the mean green machine of Stevie Williams, the 98. He is catching on this battle, and you can see there Reuben Phelps doing that little probe and attack, getting down low to try and force Foster right on that low line, force him to go low, and then he'll go high in the mid corner. Foster doesn't take the bait this time, but Reuben is really trying to do it. You can see from Stevie Dubb's position, he is enjoying this battle. And he is loving it because he is gaining on these two cars by a huge margin.
He certainly is. His eyes would be as big as dinner plates at the moment. Absolutely loving this. But Reuben's just off the back of Ed now. But the gap between Stephen Williams' last lap around and your race leader, Ed Foster, dropped about a tenth of a second. It's sort of staying about stagnant. It's the gap between Stephen Williams and Reuben Phelps you just need to keep one eye on. Looks like Ed slowly, just ever so slightly, eking out that gap as Reuben just seems to be struggling just a little bit now as he raced really hard to try and get to the lead there. So it looks like they've just all backed off and cooling everything down and probably hitting the reset button in the next 10 laps to see whether we can have another side-by-side run at the end of this one.
Exactly, that's one of the things as well that we sort of don't mention too much, but you do tend to overheat the tyres a little bit. You get the tyres a little bit warm when you start attacking like that, and eventually you're going to need to ease off a little bit too. The other thing as well, these cars don't exactly have huge openings for the radiators, so the engine temperatures can start to rise a little bit as well. So the water and oil temperatures do start to go up a little bit, and that can really affect you, and then you need to ease off a little bit and then go back on the attack. But when you've got somebody right behind you, like Stevie Williams is right now to Reuben Phelps, you can't ease off too much because all of a sudden you'll be back in a battle and having to defend, and that's going to lose you a lot of time, and that's going to allow Foster to start eking away at the front.
100%, and Reuben's got to be very careful here now to not himself fall into the trap of mirror driving per se. He'll see the gap on his relative. So now he'll be managing the gap between himself and Stephen Williams. So he'll be feeling in the car there, okay, I'm not quite as quick as Edward Foster now. I've had my chance to have a run. I've just got to save what I've got, manage that gap to Williams, and hopefully the race will come back to me in the next 10 to 15 laps and he can drive up onto the back of Edward Foster. So this is probably a crucial part for Reuben here if he does want to be in contention to win the race. At the moment, it doesn't look like he has the raw pace, and Ed Foster did have the long run pace previously as well. But will Reuben be able to hold on? You can see he's trying there. It's just out to half a second, but Stephen Williams not closing the gap at all, so it's pretty much staying stagnant. But I can say, Carl, as we're getting into the back end of the race, I've watched a lot of your calls. I've been in a lot of the races, and I obviously watch other things that you guys do. Mate, I see on your in your commentary when you did stuff last season with FGM, the other broadcaster of ANSCAR last season, you did some trivia, and you were always the one asking the question, Carl. I'm going to ask, am I okay to ask you a random trivia question about the track tonight before we bring them to the end of the race?
Oh, look, you can absolutely go for it. It's probably going to be one of those things that catches me out quite easily. Because I will blame the fact that I've got way too many things on my plate at the moment, but it is the fact that I'm better at asking questions than I am answering them. But please, absolutely go for it.
Oh, mate, it's not a hard one. It's a basic one, and you've probably got some notes in front of you, so try to have them turned upside down, mate. Let's see if he's remembered it, and I'm sure you'll have it turned upside down. In what year was the inaugural race held at Dover, and was it asphalt or concrete when it was open?
Well, the opening was 69. Would have been asphalt as well because they didn't change it to concrete until about 95. But I think it was 69 was the first race.
You're correct.
So
You're correct.
Okay, stuff like that. Luckily, I know that bit.
Well, you can pass go. You can collect $200, and we can go again next week. Looks like I've got to get them a bit more tricky and not give you the one that you already have the note in front of you. So probably the detail, but we won't worry about that.
I didn't actually have the notes for that one. That is just one of those random ones. I remember actually knowing that one because I asked it long before. But yeah, they changed it to concrete back in '95 because the cars were ripping up the asphalt. Just because there was too much horsepower going through the corners, and they were starting effectively ruining the track. And once they put it to concrete, it also gave the benefit of making the racing much better because drivers could use multiple lines. Back when it was asphalt, of course, you could only really use the one line. Once they switched to concrete, it became a multi-line track and made the racing much more exciting.
Yeah, and it's a quite enjoyable track to race. I think a lot of drivers, and correct me if I'm wrong, Carl, would probably mark this on the calendar as one of the races to just get through. You're either quick or you struggle at Dover. Correct me if I'm wrong, there's a lot of drivers that like it, a lot of drivers that loathe it as well. So, yeah, a lot of drivers on the calendar have it as I'm just going to get through this one as a little bit like a Darlington, I'd suggest, as it can bite you out, and we've seen, or catch you out rather, and we've seen that happen to some really, really good drivers tonight.
Yeah, it's not everybody's favourite track. It's a bit... a little bit like Bristol back before it went to dirt. You know, it's one of those tracks that, you know, you either love it or you sort of you're ambivalent to it. I'd say it's probably a bit more beloved than Darlington. Darlington, a lot of people tend to absolutely despise that place. It's not. It's a little bit of it's one of those tracks that's not as punishing as some of the flatter tracks because you've got that nice bit of banking, but because it's so easy for a wreck to happen here and because it is so narrow, you wouldn't think it by looking at it, but if a car goes off in the front or back straight, there's not really much of an area to avoid it, and it can really cause issues. And that's one of the things that people dislike about it. It's almost like a super speedway in some aspects, where you you don't have control of your narrative if an accident happens. And I think that's why quite a lot of people dislike it, is because, you know, it's very easy to get caught up in somebody else's wreck. But personally, I really enjoy this track, and it's sort of one of my favoured ones, I would say, just because it is kind of like a little mini super speedway in some respects.
It is, and if you mention the how difficult it can be to avoid the wrecks, is because you're running at such high speed around what we call is not quite a very long track, in such close quarters, and it doesn't do it justice on the broadcaster how actually narrow embanked the rear straights are. So if there is a wreck, like you said, it's a little bit like super speedway and very hard to be able to get through those wrecks with no damage, and we've seen that tonight. So but that's part and parcel of it. You've got to manage those risks, and we're seeing that tonight. Ed Foster, Reuben Phelps and Stephen Williams has definitely done that, and Brad Fenley still holding on the fourth spot at the moment. So Brad Fenley in fourth and Norman Clark in fifth. So got to mention Brad Fenley again, as Stephen Williams is catching the back of Reuben Phelps ever so slightly, but Brad Fenley up into fourth. What a great drive.
Yeah, fantastic job.
And we've gone yellow.
Gone, caution is out. I think it might be Nan Curtis and Toby Stent maybe in that one.
I did see Scott McClintock as well there, sorry Carl, come up on the radio, so instant there down the back straight.
So Toby Stent there, and who was that in front of him?
Could be Scott McClintock, I believe.
Yeah, it is Scott McClintock. It is McClintock there. Unfortunately, Scott McClintock hit the wall. So we'll just go back to that one a tiny bit and go for a slow-mo in showing that one. So McClintock's gone high and he's just got onto those marbles. You can see the marbles on the top there. No grip there whatsoever. They've gone into the wall. Toby Stent's gone into the back of him, and then Jamie Nankervis, nowhere to go. He's caught the back of Stent, and then who was that? They got caught up there.
Oh.
The 550 of Tristan Koch. Oh, Koch just absolutely nowhere to go. not his fault at all. He was sitting in P9 at the time, but that's a big, big, nasty accident for him, and that is not fun to have indeed. So that is a big, big accident, and then unfortunately for Toby Sent, he just miscalculated how banked this track is. Of course, it is a really high banked track, and when you try and flick spin it like that, you end up rolling down the track and then having a big issue. But we've got cars in pit lane, so the leaders have come into pit lane. They've decided it's time to get some more tyres on the cars. Tyres on the cars, of course. And
Reuben Phelps is moving. He's on his way out of pit lane. So if Reuben's tried something bold on strategy, no, he hasn't. So sorry, you can just see Reuben there. So I just had to keep one eye on that there, Carl. Sorry to jump in. I was just seeing whether Reuben was going to do something bold and try and take the lead of the race to have control of this restart with only 20 laps to go, but we didn't see that as they came off pit lane there. Sorry to jump in, Carl.
No, that's more than welcome. Not jumping in at all. It's an important thing to do because it's tricky to get the idea sometimes on what's going on. And Reuben's stationary time 14.8. Foster was a 14.5. Sorry, 15.8. Foster was a 14.5. So maybe Reuben forgot to tick off the fuel there. Norman Clark in pit lane for a long time, 36 seconds stationary as well. So he obviously is getting some repairs done. Deciding to get some repairs done. But that has meant some fresh tyres for the leaders. And this has closed it all up again and shaking things up a little bit. But it is Foster, Phelps, Williams, Allison, Brad Allison jumping up into P4 now, just ahead of Fedler. So Allison, they're just coming through their pit stops at the moment, so I'm sure that will change in a couple of seconds. I think Van Bullion might be the car that gets the lucky dog, so we might have an extra car on the lead lap now.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I think a couple of drivers might have got a lead lap back there because we had 5 drivers on the lead lap. Now showing on my timing, there's 6, with Wayne being the 7th and the first car a lap down. So this time across the strike, we'll soon see whether that will be another car that will get the wave around, which will put 7 cars on the lead lap, 19 laps to go. We've seen cautions breed cautions on some occasions. It is Dover. Anything can happen. There are quite a couple of drivers a lap down that still may not be out of this one, but they're going to have to be quick to catch Edward Foster. He's shown a clean set of heels at the front. Has Reuben Phelps got anything for the 53? It's currently second place in the championship, leading the current championship leader as they're about to go 2 wide and form up. Ready to go green here again for round number 9 of the Custom Paints and Diecast Australian Stock Car Championship. Edward Foster and Reuben Phelps off the front row. Stephen Williams, Norman Clark off the second, with Brad Allison and Brad Fenley off the third. Then it'll be Wayne Van Beon and Adam Ariel off the fourth row here on the restart. There'll be just 18 laps to go, Carl. Looking forward to this one. Does anyone have anything for Edward Foster, or is he going to rack up another win here for the Australian Stock Car Championship for round 9 at Dover? Or will it be Reuben Phelps, or can it be even Stephen Williams or Norman Clark off the second row?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this one goes. Of course, the fourth caution for tonight, 15 laps under caution, so not bad at all. We've had 7 lead changes so far. Short time remaining. It is going to be a dash to the end. Who is going to take this one? We will soon find out, and it's going to be fantastic to watch. Foster again gets away nicely on that restart. He likes to launch it nice and early on that low line and gets away beautifully there. Really nice restart there from Foster, and Stevie Williams as well, getting past Reuben Phelps importantly. So a very nice start there from Stephen Williams as well. He absolutely got the advantage there and got past Phelps. Look at Brad Fenley as well. He's starting to put pressure on there. This has helped him close up to the back of the top 3. So he could be in with a shout now as well. Brad Allison and Norman Clark having a little bit of a battle too. Brad Allison getting past Norman Clark for 5th position. So they are in a good spot.
Very, very close call there. between Brad Allison and the driver there that he was trying to pass. It wasn't Norman Clark, it's just that car on the outside. Very loose there out of turn number 2. But have a look at Stevie Dubb. Carl, what a start by Stephen Williams off that restart. That was very pivotal and very decisive of him. He had to get that job done off the inside of the second row. He anticipated the early start, and that's got the job done on Reuben Phelps. A very pivotal move there in this motor race, 15 laps to go. But going back to Norman Clark there in the 09. So Norman Clark now sitting in the 6th position after Brad Allison, as you just saw. Oh, as the car's into the outside wall there out of 2, Carl.
Is indeed just in front of Brad Allison. Trying to see who that was sitting just behind Brad, behind Fenley there. It's a car that's a couple of laps down there.
I think that could be Wayne. No, it's not.
It is the...
Yeah, I think that's Battle.
Yeah, that is Van Bullen. The 077 of Wayne Van Bullen there, just getting up into the wall, and that cost him a lot of time there. So that was lucky nothing came of it. He's currently in a battle with Adam Ariel, who's sitting in just behind him. Ads is having a good drive at the moment, and this is a battle for 7th position. They are a lap down at the moment. They've got Maxi Marshall behind them, although he's in front of them on track. Maxi Marshall having a good run in 9th position, and Scott McClintock up in 10th at the moment, rounding out the top 10. But up the front, it is Foster running away like a whippet with a bumful of dynamite. He is absolutely flying at the moment, pulling out a lead ahead of Stevie Dubb in 2nd. Reuben Phelps has dropped down to 3rd, and Brad Fenley is actually trying to put some pressure on Rubes at the moment. Not quite getting the pace to do it, but he's doing a good job. Brad Allison as well is really starting to catch up, so Brad Allison could be looking to try and get that 4th position from Fenley.
Yeah, Brad showing some good pace early, just running out of laps at the moment. We've gone inside 10 laps to go. I'm sure he will get onto the back of Brad Fenley at some stage and possibly fight to get that 03 Custom Paints and Diecast car up into the 4th position. Will he have anything, though, for Reuben Phelps? Is it a bit too late? It looks like the Godfather, as they say, Edward Foster, will go home with this one, bar anything going drastically wrong as he's a second down the road from Stephen Williams. But this is the battle to look at the moment. Brad Fenley, can he hold on to 4th over Brad Allison? Does he have a late turn of speed here to possibly pull in Reuben Phelps and fight for a podium? But the fight for 3rd, 4th and 5th is definitely not over in this one, Carl.
No, that's it. Only a few laps to go. 8 remain in here tonight, but Foster definitely has the lead, barring anything strange happen. And of course, it is motorsport. Anything can happen, and it usually does. But Fenley is doing a good job at the moment, just keeping ahead of Allison, just keeping the speed up as it stands. Reuben's managing just to pull away a little bit now in this battle as well, because these two are starting to fight. It's giving him that opportunity to pull away. Stevie Dubb, meanwhile, is catching up to the back of Foster, so Stevie Dubb could well pull a rabbit out of his hat for this one, but he is running out of laps. 7 laps to go, but Stevie Dubb has got some pace in that car, but does he have enough to beat Foster? That is the question, and at the moment, you've got to say it's about 50-50. He's doing a good job of holding it on there and closing the gap here and there, but Foster's able to eke it out through certain corners. It looks like Stevie Dubb is running better in the second half of the track. Foster is running better in the first half of the track at the moment, as Allison and Fenley battle on. It looks like Allison's got the position as Brad Allison makes the move and gets up into 4th position.
Yeah, good move there by Brad Allison. Steve Williams was trying to come back at Ed Foster there, but there's the move for 4th position. So with only 5 laps to go, I think he's a little bit too far away from Reuben Phelps to be able to snatch that final step on the podium. But Brad Allison into 4th at the moment. Carl, we'll see, does he have anything to try and pull in Reuben Phelps at the moment, as we've got lap traffic to contend with as well, just 4 laps to go. Reuben dropping off the leaders and absolutely dropping time to Brad at the moment. So Brad Allison could be in for a surprise top 3 here with just 3.5 laps to go, Carl.
Yeah, that's it. It's time might be the factor here, and that might be the saving grace for Reuben Phelps, who just seems to have lost pace in this final stint. He just really doesn't seem to have it. Definitely had some long run pace on him, but the short running pace doesn't seem to be favouring him. Foster, meanwhile, has made the short and the long run work, and he's absolutely hammering those tyres now, as he does not need to worry about them for much longer. 3 laps to go here. Stevie Dubb's still doing a good job, only about 0.7 behind. He's keeping him in his sights, but Reuben Phelps he's got a little bit of comfort behind him. 2 laps remaining. I'd say he's safe, bar anything happening. But of course, it just takes a slight mistake, and that is it. All of a sudden, you can find your race over and done with. But it is Foster as the white flag comes out, who is leading this race. The 53 AJD Natari Autosport car is looking to come home and take the victory tonight, and it looks like it is his race to lose at the moment. Not far to go now as he crosses the start-finish line, gets the checkered flag, and Edward Foster takes the victory. Stevie Dubb in behind him in second. Reuben Phelps comes home in third, with Brad Allison in fourth. Brad Fenley comes home in fifth position. Sixth for Norman Clark. Van Bullion in 7th, 8th for Adam Ariel, adds doing a great job. Maxie Marshall in 9th, and Scott McClintock coming home in P10 in the end.
Yeah, what a race there by Edward Foster. Another couple of points back on your championship leader, Reuben Phelps. Stephen Williams just not quite enough in the end to be able to fight for the win, but what a dominant win from Ed Foster tonight from Natari Autosports, albeit he didn't have it all his own way. He had to fight off a couple of wannabe contenders early on, but he comes away with the win tonight as we see the 53 celebrate the win, which is now his 3rd or 4th win here for the Custom Paints and Diecast Australian Stock Car Championship. So even coming off 3 or 4 wins out of now 9 rounds, he still finds himself about 50 points behind your championship leader. So a good start on the comeback, only 9 rounds into about 30 here, Carl, but exactly what Ed Foster wanted tonight, and great drive there by Steve Williams and Reuben Phelps to come home and take out the podium positions.
Yeah, he'll be pretty chuffed with that. Great job from all the boys as well tonight, with only, 4 cautions, I think, in total tonight overall. So really good result from everybody there. Nice to see that happening. Of course, we don't like it when we see lots of cautions. But 4 cautions tonight, 7 lead changes, 200 laps as well. Didn't see that horrible green-white checker, but a fantastic job for Foster. Really solid run for Stevie Dubb as well. He did a great job getting up into 2nd place. And Reuben Phelps as well, very solid drive as well, and that's going to really help championship-wise as well, because there's not much between him and Foster. So really good drive from him. Let's bring up the results as we get that out of the way. So let's go through the results as they stand at the moment. Of course, so it was Foster taking the win, Stevie Dubb in 2nd, then Reuben Phelps, Brad Allison 3rd and 4th, 5th for Brad Fenley, Norman Clark in 6th, 7th for Wayne Van Bullion, 9th for Adam Ariel, 8th for Adam Ariel, 9th for Maxie Marshall. Really good result for Maxie Marshall there, another newcomer to the series, and 10th for Scotty McClintock as well. He's going to be pretty happy with that, especially considering he had quite a bit of damage on there as well. Then we roll over and it's Gemini Curvis in 11th, 12th for Tristan Koch, Toby Stent comes home at 13th, 14th for Mark Johansson, Justin Allen 15th, 16th for Kobe Jordan, Mark Smith 17th, Noddy Tompkins 18th, 19th for Malone Mackenzie in 20th. As we switch over, 21st for Patton, Billy Hickey 23rd, Maddie Raymond out the race early, unfortunately Mr. Shane could not keep it clean. He got caught up in a very big accident with Michael Skurlock as well. Unfortunate for Skirley down there as well, finishing in the final spot for tonight.
Yeah, unlucky of those drivers on the back end there to be caught up in incidents early on, but this was Dover, and 200 laps of that at the least. So Edward Foster coming away with the win. We can see a couple of them down there waiting to come and have a talk with us, Carl. I believe we are doing that still tonight.
Yeah, we might as well. Yeah, it's absolutely. I'll see if Rubes was around quickly.
Yeah, well. I can grab Reuben up. I can see him there. I'll bring him up.
But we're joined in the booth as well with Mr. Hanson, Mr. Marky Boy. How's it going, Mark?
Yeah, good boys. Wow, what a race.
Yeah, a lot of green flags there.
Yeah, great deal of green flags. You know.
Either way, it's probably the same problem.
Reuben.
Welcome to the booth. Rubes got Reuben up for his finish up in third position. We'll just go back a little bit. But Reuben, welcome to the booth. You're here on my channel tonight. You're slumming it on Screezilla's channel. So welcome to the booth and congratulations on a P3 finish.
Yeah, thank you. I can tell you right now, I am in a lot of pain right now. My VR went shaky and it started tilting all the way to the left. So my head for the whole race was fully hard lock facing left while I was driving tonight, and I'm in. I could tell you I need some Panadol.
Oh, that does not sound like fun. Now that explains then that little bit of loss of pace towards the end, I imagine.
Yeah, and I was starting to sweat it out, and bloody pain started getting to me at that last part. So, oh man, it was a struggle. But regardless, I started from lap 1 all the way through the whole race. So,
Well,
so think about it.
you would not have known it watching you through that race. Bloody good job to finish in third position. So congratulations on that, especially considering the unmitigating circumstances there of the VR not working as intended. Never fun having a VR system mess about on you like that, and it can be quite painful when they're sitting in the wrong spot, as you can attest. Obviously, good result tonight, and some really good racing out there.
Yeah, for sure. Nah, it was a great battle with Edward, even though obviously I had a little bit of a distraction, but like as soon as he got to me there, I had a little couple of moments, but the car was driving fantastic other than that. It's just I wish I didn't have this issue, because who knows what could have happened. But anyway, I knew I had to get through this race because I couldn't back out of it now, especially after the championship lead. So I managed to get the best result possible, really.
No, absolutely. A really strong finish tonight. Congratulations on a solid run. Well done on getting through that, especially with the VR messing around and causing you lots of pain. So well done on that one. It's never fun driving in pain, and never fun driving when you're having to basically turn your head to the one side and looking out the side of your eyes. So you did a really good result for that one. Congratulations. And before you go, the usual thing, chat and love to our sponsors and people like that.
I've got to thank Mark for hosting Weekend Warriors. Of course, I know usually some shed broadcasting is usually the main broadcaster here, but of course you've got to shout out them when they're doing it, and you, Carl, for putting yourself out there to do the rest of the broadcast tonight when we couldn't have one, so thank you for that. Of course, I've got to thank the Goodyear Auto Care Warana Racing, so that's a team that's still fighting its paces, but and of course good racing between me and Edward and Stevie Williams for second place.
Thanks so much, Rubes. Congratulations on tonight, and hopefully the VR set won't mess around with you too much in the future.
Yeah, I hope not, because I'm dead.
No, congrats. Catch you later, and I'm sure we'll see you back at the booth soon, mate.
Cheers.
Next up for DPR, it is the Mean Green Machine of Mr. Stevie Dub. Steve Williams, well done on a fantastic result. A really strong P2 tonight.
Yeah, thanks for that. That was, really enjoyable race.
Yeah.
Good long green run, stints, and that was enjoyable.
I was about to say, it wasn't just the car that was green tonight, it was pretty much the whole race. We saw a lot of green flag action out there. Really good result from yourself. The car seemed to come alive in that final stint for yourself.
Yeah, well, before that last caution with Ed and Reuben battling out up the front there, I was just trying to hang back and just let them battle it out and fight, and knew they'd pretty much be slowing each other down, battling like that. So, it was good to get in front of Reuben on that last restart, but I could see straight away he was struggling. He did a really good job tonight with the VR. I've been there and know how much of a struggle it is. These races are tough enough as it is, let alone with an extra problem like that on board.
Yeah, when you've got any pain involved in it, and especially VR problems, it makes the race 10 times longer than it needs to be. But look, you were really solid tonight, just able to keep the car in the right place at the right time. We were talking before about you just sort of always being there or thereabouts and just keeping those consistent runs in the top 5, top 10 constantly there. You might not have sort of the overall pace sometimes, but you're always there or thereabouts at the end, and always managing to lurk and keep your eye in just in case anybody makes that little mistake. You're always there to absolutely take on those positions, and tonight you did a fantastic job of it and absolutely optimised that by getting P2 and really having a strong run on Ed towards the end of the race as well.
Yeah, well, that's it. There's only one lap that really matters at the end there. And yeah, even if I'd have managed to stick with Ed and get on his tail at the end there, it's a pretty hard track to overtake. So I don't think I would have had anything for him ultimately anyway.
No, look, really solid run tonight. Congratulations on the P2. Before I let you go, the usual thing of shout out and love to sponsors and people and whoever you want to say hello to tonight.
Just a big thanks to Mark and the Weekend Warriors crew for putting on these events. The broadcast team for, great effort there as well. And then simrigs.com, Southwell Lifts and Hoists, Ben Max Mechanical, Phoenix Smokers, and NP Designs.
No worries. Thank you so much, Stevie Dub. I'm sure we'll get you back in the booth soon. Hopefully it will be nice and soon when we see you, and hopefully it will be one step higher as well.
Cheers, thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah, I say he will because the Memorial Cup's coming up, so he tends to pull all stops out for that race.
Yeah, that's it. It's one of those things that hopefully we'll get to see you back on the top step for that one.
Yep, hope so.
Thank you so much, Stevie Dub. Next up, we'll head to the race winner for Natari AJD, Mr. Edward Foster in the 53. Congratulations on tonight's win, mate.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It was a hard one.
Yeah, well, they didn't make it easy for you tonight, did they?
No, not at all. It was. I was fairly confident heading into it because I normally run pretty good here, and the normal stuff. I don't know, like the normal line that I always run here, etc., wasn't that good for whatever reason, and it took me a good portion of the race to figure it out. It was quite good on the tyres, but the tyres just weren't falling off, so it really didn't matter so much that I was looking after him. So I had to copy a little bit what the other guys were doing. And made for an interesting race. Loads of pressure the whole way. If I wasn't given the pressure, I was the one getting it from behind, and with Reuben and Steve there at the end. And if I got paid for this, I'd be earning my money.
Yeah, definitely. You've earned your virtual money tonight. So all of that non-refundable, non-usable money you've earned tonight. It looks like for a while there, Reuben was really putting on the pressure, and you're having to drive in your mirrors a little bit.
He was copping a lot of pressure from behind, and how he managed to do that with that VR issue he had, I've got no idea. Because I tell you, if I had to drive like that, I'd just vomit. There's no doubt about that. So, look, when I was up behind him trying to pass him, I needed to. It wasn't easy, I was able to hang on his bumper, but trying to actually get that move done was not easy at all. And then once I was in front of him and he was the one piling on pressure from behind, I had to use every trick in the book to keep him behind. It wasn't just a case of running flat out. I was trying to, sort of take his line away and break his momentum and all this other sorts of stuff that if you've got a pace advantage, you don't need to do. But when you've got a guy behind you who's really quick, you've got to pull out all that stuff to try and actually resolve things in your favour. He did a fantastic job. I think that was probably, I know he won a Martinsville race last year, but even so, I think that was probably the best I've seen out of him. It was a brilliant run from him, really. And then Steve at the end, I jumped the start. Well, not jumped the start because you're allowed to go after the pace car's in, but I went fairly early to try and hopefully get Steve through. Because I know it's really hard to start on that outside, especially if the guy goes early. So I thought hopefully Steve would get a bit of a jump and might be able to protect me from Reuben for a while. And then it turned out he was quick as well. So, I was just basically running qualifying laps there to the end, and I started to pull out a little bit, and then he started to gain back, and it was a big battle the entire way through. So I'm glad you jumped in and decided to broadcast this one, because it would have been a real shame to miss it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was well worth broadcasting. We got some great racing out there. We saw one big defensive chop from you as well at one point in the race, which was great to see. And like it was some really good races up the front, especially having all of those green flag laps, 4 cautions tonight, of course, and they kind of fell very quickly in each other. Obviously, that caution that came for pit stops as well, that kind of came out perfectly for you.
Yeah, it came out perfectly for me, perfectly for Reuben. I think it worked for Steve as well. And poor old Brad Allison got completely screwed by it. And he was another one who was really quick, along with Mark Smith. And I'm not sure how that affected him, but all those guys were fast.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could have been, what was a great 3-way battle at the front could have been as much as a 5-way battle. But it sort of worked out as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, you can't really ask for too much more than that. It's a risk you always take when you pit a little bit early that the caution might come out, especially a shorter track like this. You might get trapped a little bit down, but you sort of do it to try and get that undercut because it can be worth a lot. Yes, that's just the way the cards fell.
Yeah, no, and just on that first stop as well, the first caution, of course, you stayed out, and then obviously that second caution came quickly after, and we saw you jump straight in the pit lane as soon as you saw the sort of difference of tyres, obviously.
Well, no, that was actually a mistake.
Okay.
I was sitting up behind Mark, and I know that when you're in the lead, you're always kind of second guessing what to do, because if you come down, everybody can stay out, and vice versa. So I was trying to make him think I was staying out, and of course I was so close up behind him because I didn't want to give him any time to react to whatever I did, that my windscreen was just full of the back end of his car. And then when he decided to peel off, I wanted to try and tempt him back up to sort of stay out, and then I was going to dive in. And then by the time I went to dive in, the pit wall started earlier than I thought it did, and I nearly drove into the thing. So I'm just like, well, that hasn't worked. I was talking to Norman on the radio saying, look, maybe we'll just stay out and see how it plays. But then a couple of laps later, when the caution came out, it was like, nah, we better swing down and get some new boots on it and take our medicine and try and come back through.
No, really good recovery and really good comeback from you. It's great to watch, great to see. Fantastic job tonight, and as usual, the usual thing of love and shout out to people and sponsors and whoever you want to say hello to tonight.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks to you guys for stepping in and doing the broadcast tonight at really short notice. Obviously, it was a last-minute decision for you guys to do it, and I hope that the race was entertaining enough to sort of justify the time that you guys put in, because it certainly seemed that way from behind the wheel. So thanks to you guys first and foremost. Thanks to Reuben and to Steve. Both those guys. I didn't wind up next to Steve so as much as I did with Reuben, where we were side by side and everything. But that battle was really clean, really respectful. When you race guys like that, it's really good. So just makes it a lot more enjoyable. So yeah, thanks to those guys as well, and of course to the team sponsors, can't forget them, although I haven't got the shopping list Steve's got to remember, thankfully. It's just AJD and Fully Flawed.
No, congratulations on tonight. I'm sure we'll catch you back in the booth within no time, but for tonight, thanks so much, Ed, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks a lot.
Just before we close out, Carl, I've actually got the unofficial standings at the moment for the championship, if you want me to run through them.
No, please do.
Okay, so in first place we've got Reuben Phelps on 384 points. Second's Ed Foster on 352. Stevie Williams on 339. Fourth is Jamie Nankervis on 304. Fifth is Kobe Jordan on 299. Then the gentleman of the league, Norman Clark, sitting in sixth on 295. Adam Malone in seventh on 285. Wayne Van Bijon, sorry Wayne, I'll get it right eventually. In eighth on 274. Tristan Koch in ninth with 262. And Scott McClintock rounding out the top 10 with 254 points.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mark. And before we go, while we got you up here at the booth, Mark, anything you want to shout out for tonight as well?
Just the driver, mate. The driving standards coming up in leaps and bounds. I was expecting 6 or 7 cautions around here. just going on last year. I know we got a lot of new drivers. The 4 cautions tonight's unbelievable. And we'll see what happens next week at Bristol.
Yeah, of course, it is the Mockingbird 150 at Bristol Motor Speedway next week. So that will be interesting. Hopefully, we'll be back to normality over on Simshed Broadcasting, of course, with that one. So we look forward to seeing you there. Of course, you get all the latest results over at the Weekend Warriors webpage or on Weekend Warriors on Facebook. Make sure to follow all the details there. Of course, it is Weekend Warriors with 2 R's on the webpage.
Yes. The third R's missing out of it, but hopefully we will have that rectified in June, because I've just brought the domain for the correct spelling of us. We couldn't get that domain before.
No, awesome. So hopefully all back to normal. And a big thank you as well to Mr. Aidan Schultz for joining us tonight. Big thanks to everybody for watching as well, and coming to join us tonight as well. Always a pleasure to have you all out here. It's always fun. Glad to bring you this race as well. It was a good one to bring out as well, and a nice clean race, which is always good to have. Always good to have for a stream. So from myself, Mr. Carl Wilkinson, for Mr. Aidan Schultz, Mark Johansson, of course, the runner of Weekend Warriors, I wish you all a good night and thank you very much for watching, and we will see you all next week.